Community Resilience Committee will come to order. And I note that we have a quorum. This meeting is being held in person. It can also be viewed on local cable channel 1303 or on the internet by accessing bucksportmaine.gov and selecting agendas and minutes and choosing this meeting and clicking on the video button next to the meeting. Questions or comments may be submitted during the meeting by emailing rich.rotella@bucksportmaine.gov or during the meeting by calling 307-8030. It would be appropriate to for me to make an announcement here. I have passed out one sheet, which is 2 pages front and back, of an email that I received after I sent you all the other meeting materials. It references a program being run by the Island Institute related to the National Renewable Energy Lab. I don't have more information than what's on this piece of paper. I've made an arrangement to talk with Sky and her colleague Brenna next Tuesday morning, when I will find out some more. But I wanted to let you know what I know about the program, an invitation to participate in some program, that's, I believe, is what it is. And if you have any questions or comments that you would like to email to me before next Tuesday, I will take that when I meet with, and I think it's a Zoom meeting that I'm having with Sky and Brenna on Tuesday. That's the only announcement that I have. It would be time for an agenda review. I don't have have not printed out copies of all the materials that I sent to you. Rich has put the agenda up on the screen. Are there any comments, changes, or revisions that anyone feels are necessary for the agenda?
Not that I know of off the top of my head.
Any changes that you know of now that we should make? Hearing none, we'll take it that the agenda is accepted, and then go on to the review of the July 17 minutes. By the way, thank you very much, Debbie, for the July 17 minutes. I did notice that it went on to 5 pages this time, which as that means that was that much more work on your part, but it's appreciated. Are there any comments, changes, corrections that anyone noted on the minutes from July 17?
The minutes were excellent.
Yeah, there
Thank
were.
you.
The only thing I had was that they say July 15th here, but they continue to reference July 17th elsewhere.
Okay. Let's see, the meeting was held on the 15th.
Okay.
Oh, and you're saying that it says the 17th?
On the agenda, it said the 17th.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
That's
That
all right.
would be my mistake.
That's right. I didn't know which one was right, and I didn't take the time to look at a calendar.
Oh, I see. Yeah, it's embedded throughout the agenda.
Yes, I apologize. That is my mistake. I meant the July 15 minutes. So it's not a change to the minutes, it's a typo on the agenda.
Good catch, Rich.
We mentioned it during the agenda.
Hearing no problems with the minutes, we'll declare that those are accepted. And then we'll ask our service providers if there are any further information on the Governor's Office of Policy, Innovation, and Future program. Any updates or any other news?
Thank you very much, committee members. No, I have no updates, except I think I'll just reiterate that the next grant round opens in February. So that's new information, fairly new information.
Thank you. And that brings us to the discussion of the draft town resolution. Now, the town resolution has been revised a couple of times, but the latest revision was on the 28th of July. You have a copy, I sent a copy of it. And the reason
Yeah,
that
I have copies and hard copies.
I will take one.
Yes, me as well.
Okay, Mr. Chair?
Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yes, absolutely. I did not print out copies of everything I sent because I think I sent 30 pages to you.
Thank you, Alan. Mr. Chairman, I've noticed as we do these revisions, there are never numbers put on them. Revision number one, revision number two. As I print some of these out, sometimes I'm confused as to which is the most recent one. And alls I would request that in the future, if we could put a revision number or whatever, or just a number on the bottom of one of the pages.
Okay,
Maybe we're not gonna revise them again or something, but
well, I think that's a useful suggestion. I tried to identify this revision by the date in which it was sent around to us all. But I certainly think that's a worthwhile suggestion to, if we have multiple revisions of other documents to try to clearly delineate which
see, I
is
don't know if the one, and I understand what you're saying, I would have logically downloaded the last one sent, which sometimes even that's difficult for me, but I'm assuming that the one that Alan just passed out is the same one I have here, but I don't know where the change is, just in case.
Okay, I think the last change was on the second page, and it was down near the bottom, and it has to do with the phrase "under this grant." I guess it's under number 2, on page 2, down near the bottom on section 2. Now therefore be it resolved that, and et cetera, and there's a phrase "under this grant." There's a suggestion that Tracy made to clear up potential misunderstanding or ambiguity, and Alan incorporated that change in this draft. Is that correct, Alan?
That is correct.
Thank you. Mine was dated when I printed out earlier. Thank you.
So, the question is, are there comments about this draft? If I understand it correctly, the object is to put this on the agenda by tomorrow so that it would be taken up by the council meeting a week from tomorrow. And so this is an opportunity for us, if we want to make any changes or have any concerns about the resolution, to voice those comments or make those concerns known now. Are there any comments?
I would like to see if we can include the energy coaching and climate education.
Oh, you got some.
It's in there, it's just, it's like a,
H2.
H-
First page.
It's identified as C1 on page 2. You see C1,
Yeah, C1, yep.
launch an energy coaching program. And if I'm correct, and do please correct me if I'm not, Alan, I believe you said earlier that this resolution does not commit this committee or the town to implement all of the projects that have been identified here. This is a statement of some intent, but it's not a committing statement. Is that correct?
And the language actually says, carefully written, implement one of or a combination of strategies. So meant to be broad,
Right.
not
And
restrictive.
flexible. And
Flexible is a better adjective, yes.
in any event, thank you for that. And are any questions, any concerns that we have about sending this resolution to the town council?
I have no problem whatsoever, Mr. Chairman.
thank you, Alan, you did a very good job.
Thank you. Thank you all of you
Satisfied
for
with
your
it?
help.
I think it will be helpful when you do present it, when it's on the agenda, to outline that again, because I bet the council will ask the same question again. So it'd be good to just be prepared to sort of respond to that question, that it's, like, this sentence you just said, the one of, or, yeah.
I would intend to be at the next council meeting, and I would expect that I would be available to present this. If I'm not, I will let others know so that someone else might fill in if I'm unable to be here, but I expect to be.
Mr. Chairman, I will also offer to be here as well. Certainly you'll carry the ball, but I'm back up if you wish.
That would be good.
So, hearing no concerns or objections, I would say that we have approved the current version of the resolution to present before the town council a week from tomorrow and get it on the agenda by tomorrow. Is that correct? Mhm. Very good, okay, thank you. Moving on, we come up to the discussion of the annotated draft grant application, and this is where we start to get into the meat of what it is we actually expect we'll be able to do, want to do, hope to do, etc. Several members have offered some brief written commentary on it already. I know Tracy has, I know Emily's made a brief comment on it that I've sent out to you as well, and I also had a couple pages of comments. I'd like to actually hear from everyone, if we could, on your commentary about the draft grant application. This is a 20-page document that is the state form filled out. Alan has prepared that. It has sections which don't apply, but it's part of the form. And the question is, what comments does anyone have about the grant application? Any concerns with it? Any suggestions, ideas, etc.? Yes, Alan.
I could make a process suggestion. I think it might be useful, as I reviewed the comments, to basically talk about the 5 tasks, and they're on page 7. And maybe that would be a good starting point to see if those are the ones that need to be in the grant, and build out from there. I just offer that as a suggestion, but not a demand.
Okay. I will take Alan's suggestion, but not limit your comments to it, so that if you have other comments that you want to make that don't fit exactly what Alan has suggested, I don't want you to be limited in what you might want to talk about. So, page 7, or maybe it starts on page 6.
It starts on 6
Starts on page 6.
and then goes to 7.
Project implementation is where it starts. And tasks, and it lists 5 tasks. Task 1, launch an energy coach program to help low-income vulnerable individuals and communities understand options for making energy improvements. Any commentary on that strategy?
It sounds like an amazing idea.
I think the key to it would be definitely the Island Institute. Because on our own, that's, I don't think, a skill set a lot of us have.
Yeah, we're not the subject matter experts on this.
Yeah.
I would point out that the Island Institute fellow will not necessarily be a subject matter expert either, but I'm happy to provide the training to anyone, including the volunteers that we solicit from the community and the Island Institute Fellow as needed. It is in my wheelhouse of prior expertise, so it's something that have done in the past and am able to continue to do.
Oh, so you are a
So you're a subject matter
expert.
expert.
I am-
So that's helpful to know. I mean, you're good at a lot of things, I just didn't make
Now you
that
tell us.
line draw so cleanly until today. Okay.
I have worked in a variety of renewable energy and energy efficiency scientific research projects over the years, and more connected to this is that I have been a certified energy auditor. I've trained energy auditors for certification, and I even got trained to be a trainer of energy auditor trainers. So it is a matter that I am comfortable knowing what it is that needs to be transmitted to volunteers or staff people in providing the energy coaching. I would hope that we would be able to draw upon the Brooklyn committee for their experience as well. I have not contacted them about this yet, but that would be an obvious resource for us to gain some information from their experiences. And there are other areas of expertise that we, as needed, could bring into that process. So I'm comfortable with that. I would be volunteering in that role. I think it would be a conflict of interest for me to do it any other way than as a volunteer, but I don't think that it represents a conflict of interest if I do volunteer. So at least to the extent that eases your concerns about how we're gonna get that matter handled, I'm happy to.
And Ralph, for clarification, are you specifically talking about task 1 on its own, or task 1 through 4?
Task 1 specifically,
I was just looking at the umbrella under the
right,
Island
there are
Institute.
elements of task 2. It does not include task 3. I know next to nothing about task 3, and I know next to nothing about task 4. So no, I'm not a subject matter expert on those tasks. And in fact, I think I've indicated in my comments, sort of asking the question, does anyone on the committee know subject matter experts in those areas, or do we have confidence that we could access them?
Not it.
Thanks for volunteering.
But
I did, so on page 6 where it says part 1, it says task 1 and 2 for the Island Institute Fellow, but then later in part 2 says 1 through 4. But also 3 involves a forester, not the Island Institute.
I can respond to that. Thank you for pointing that out, and I also recognize that the dates need to be changed. This was an early draft, and we're waiting to hear everybody's comments, and then we'll confirm all the dates,
Right.
and we'll make those changes. Thank you for catching that.
So is the intention for Island Institute tasks 1 and 2 then? Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
Got it.
Yeah, certainly not 3, and not 4, and not 5.
I agree with Tracy's previous comment that this might be a lot to undertake. And I kind of felt that task 5 is also involves starting a whole other program. And that might be a good one to consider. 2 of the suggestions for task 5 are already addressed as well. So I just kind of felt like task 5 might be a good one to maybe put aside instead of starting more than one program.
And it's interesting, the current farmer's market is, and Ralph and I talked about this, is struggling to find vendors.
Yeah.
But they do SNAP benefits, and they are set up for accepting all of that. So it may be, I agree with you. It would be one we could leave on the table out of the proposal.
It's the one I like the most.
Is it?
But it is hard because the farmer's market that's here is mainly, a lot of it's craft and different things.
Yeah.
And they
And
really
I'm
struggle,
trying to-
especially with the produce vendors.
I've been trying for a while to get, because I wanted to do a market at my place, and so just, I've reached out to the Cheese Guild and I've done a lot reaching out to the different, like the fish, like there's all different groups that, the fisheries and the fishermen and the, it's hard, because everybody's already set, and I don't know, but that's the one I like the most, because I think that one is more applicable, like where people could really feel the impact. Fresh produce and, but I agree, it might be difficult. I think I don't think any of them are gonna be easy.
Yeah.
I think that,
The thing about the food pantry network, which is with local producers, that connection sort of exists a little bit with Good Shepherd and the food rescue program, but it's not as robust as this would call for, I guess.
yeah, what about what is that, the farm drop?
Yeah, it's the same idea.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
wonder if we can, I just thought it was, you're saying that, like if we connected with them, because that is actually a link to all the farms in the area. They're already dropping, at these locations. I think Verona Wine and Bistro does it. And that might be the link that suddenly it's like an aha, because I don't know how often it does it
Weekly.
and how many farmers are involved.
I'm gonna say a dozen.
That's actually that's a pretty large number if you think about it.
That's a program. It's been around for several years. It's been in Bucksport at least about 2 years. You order and pay for the food online and by Monday night, and pick it up Wednesday afternoon. And that includes frozen foods, refrigerated foods, and fresh produce.
Can you use SNAP with that?
I don't know. I expect so, but I don't know. I'd have to check.
That could be something, because if the program, combining that, because maybe some people may not even be aware that they can utilize it, or, how to access it.
I should mention that since somebody's involved in collating those orders and getting the goods from the farms and separating it out into individuals' packages and delivering it, there is an expense associated with those tasks, and so the cost of the food has that added expense added to it.
That's what I meant. I think it probably is a certain, I don't want to say group, but it's, probably not the lower barriers of consumers that are tapping into this. So, but maybe there is a part of this that we can maybe talk with them. And I mean, these are farmers and you know, that they might be interested in starting a program that is specific for, you know, for what we're trying to do. I mean, it can't be, you know, to ask. There are benefits to them to do that. There's a certain, you know, if you qualify and then we can reach out to the community that probably doesn't even look at this because of the expense of it, you know.
Yes, Alan?
I really appreciate this conversation, and I certainly understand of all of the tasks that I was envisioning, that was the hardest to think about how to start. And some of these things already are being done. I really take your point that it's, you know, food is foundational. It's really important. As I listen to this, I'm wondering if it would make sense to combine tasks, to drop number 5 as written, but really address in task 4 how vulnerability assessment, I mean, I think some of the recommendations that could come from that would be ways of improving service delivery regarding food. So I would suggest eliminating 5 for the reasons that you've just mentioned. And then when we get to the budget, $6,000 is allotted to task 5. I would push that $6,000 up onto task 4 to make that more robust. Because when I was putting together the budget, you know, $14,000 is not a lot for a social vulnerability assessment. So I just suggest that as a way of achieving both in a way that I think will have better outcomes.
So just so I'm understanding what you're saying is that to take task 4 and to kind of assess what I just said about, hey, what is going on, seeing, you know, what we can, who would actually utilize this program, who, you know, where are the gaps?
You used the conversation, reaching out to people and having those conversations. And that's part of task 4.
Okay.
And to the extent that it now includes a real focused look on food issues,
Yeah.
and then I think that dropping task 5 would make sense. That's my suggestion.
And Farm Drop does take SNAP.
Oh, they do. That's good. So that's already, so, you know, then it's more of a campaign to let people know if they're taking it or.
Well, right, and the education portion of letting people know what services are available, what things are available is, in my mind, part of letting them know what's available for reducing energy use as well, or improving energy efficiency. In other words, if we do a home visit for someone and are providing information to them about what programs are available for reducing their energy costs, it seems to me a trivial addition to provide information about food sources, farmers markets, food pantries, etc. In other words, that's information delivery. It also relates to emergency preparedness. Here's where the shelters might be. Here's where this is an emergency. Here's where food distribution might be. I mean, the town is considering expanding the phone emergency system to have different categories so as to both provide additional services by phone notification, but not to necessarily overload people with too much junk information. And in essence, allowing people to specify what types of information they'd like to get from the town. This is under consideration by the town council at the present time. And if that system is upgraded to information about that would be delivered to people. I mean, in other words, I see the educational component of this is something that can run through a variety of topics.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, I'm all about maximizing, you know, and you only have an audience for so long, so you don't want to inundate people repetitively on, you know, coming today on this or tomorrow this. We should have everything together because everybody has different needs. Something I might need today, and you know, but somebody in my family might have a different need, and so.
Can we back up to task 3, because my biggest question about task 3 on the natural resource and habitat inventory is who would do it, or what subject matter expert might be available? And I'm wondering what our thinking is on that. I know we have 3 of our members here who are members of the Conservation Committee, and I know that this is a topic of particular interest to the Conservation Committee as well. But I personally have not yet heard
Well,
how we access.
can we read number 3 again?
It has to be a forester. A forester is the subject matter expert of this. Arborists didn't really seem to be super interested. It didn't really seem to quite fit their scope. And then there is also at University of Maine, there is a program that it's also paid, but there are people that can kind of come and join in and help as well. And that may help reduce costs. But even without that, the cost estimate that seems to be shaking out fits well within this budget.
So the other thing, and I don't know if I know we talked about it at our committee, that Great Pond is using an app that was developed I think it's a free app, and they had volunteers that would go out and they can identify trees, right, that have the emerald ash borer, and you click on it. And we haven't really talked about it, but that is something that is available, that we could conduct a vulnerability assessment just utilizing that. They were doing trainings on it. The other thing that when we talk about these assessments, I know you're right, there's some, like with the foresters and things, but separate from the emerald ash borer, when I have a home in Florida, and there's the river, and they do, and I don't know how we would get it, but there could be, where the community comes out and they would, let's say, go out into the river and they're counting turtles. So they go out and literally, like, they're picking up the turtles and they're counting them, putting them in, and I mean, it's a big thing. Like, that's just one area. Like, you get the community involved in these kind of bigger assessment, whatever that assessment is that we're focusing on. And it's also in community involvement, and it grows every year. It gets bigger and bigger, and people look forward. So maybe that's some way, I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there, that those are some of the campaigns that I've been involved in. As far as that, do you remember about the app for the emerald ash borer?
Yeah, but I thought we kind of tabled it because we were talking about wanting a professional.
Yes, but I'm just saying, for us, for this, like, there are resources, that possibly, doing assessments and things like that.
And that could be maybe useful for an education standpoint, because doing an inventory doesn't necessarily address private property.
Right.
And they'll want,
What's the purpose? I mean, I know the obvious purpose, but what's the ultimate goal of the inventory? It's like, we have the inventory, and then what?
then you know where the trees are that could become infected. And
So like,
which
you can
ones could
drive
be
a
the
mitigation plan from that inventory, sort of?
right, yeah, like, okay, there's this one on this town property that could fall on this building or fall on the road.
Yeah.
Or on somebody walking.
Yes, or this tree on town property that could fall into somebody else's property or stuff like that.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'd like to think that this task is a little more involved than just trees. That
Yes.
we're talking about habitat inventory, natural resources, and I think there is a lot of information out there already on things like soils, other habitat that's been developed over time through the comprehensive plan, which is now almost 10 years old. But still, there is information out there that the state, and to some lesser extent the federal government, provides to develop, to understand what that inventory involves. it will be trees, but, you know, there's invasive species issues. There's, aquatic species and development and the change, the invasion of ticks, shall we say. I mean.
They're
now-
drawing a connection with that now with climate change.
Right, I mean,
Mhm.
that's already tied in, so I think it's important to keep an eye out for the entire issue, which is natural resources and habitat inventory. Because there's so many changes now out there as a result, I think myself, that it would be easy. Now, as far as finding people to do that, I think the question too was, then what? I mean, then what would be, maybe you would want to adjust your zoning laws, or you might want to adjust your new housing placements.
Okay, that's,
There may be
that's
certain.
helping understand it, yeah.
Right, there
Okay.
should be, there could be fragile areas that you might not all of a sudden want
Want
to do anything with, or you may change your mind about some certain area and how it's zoned. But again, the issue will, for me, this helps me because I'm an F1 through whatever it was person, much as what you said, and this sort of helps me get more involved because I think this is something that affects every individual in the town. It's not just a certain economic strata or people at certain locations. And so I really think this is something that's could be easy to do and effective to have.
So a question that I have, but Alan can go first.
So if I could just respond to the question of who does it and then what the result is. When I was thinking of this, I was thinking all of this is done by a consultant. The town of Bucksport issues a request for proposals for a multidisciplinary team that includes foresters, ecobiologists, natural habitat specialists for a cost not to exceed X during a limited period, pursue a scope of work that requires these deliverables, including recommendations for action. That's lifting it off the shoulders of volunteers. Volunteers will be involved, but there are plenty of consultants in the state who can do this work, and I know many towns have used these. Does that respond to your question?
Well, it does. I'm not sure I had that question, but
Oh.
but I'd like to comment.
Okay.
Now that you bring that up, what if Rich and I become experts in our own minds and go out there and do a natural resource and habitat inventory? That money that would have been allocated for that particular task is still available to apply to other tasks, is that correct?
That's your decision. I was thinking that what I was hearing in other meetings is that, we don't want to overload staff or volunteers.
No, I was just using Rich and me as a stupid example. No offense, Rich, but my question then is, how fixed are these numbers and money relationships? They're really not.
So the budget is something that you will work on, and again, I think 14,000 would provide good value. If some of the money from task 5 gets pushed into task 3, that bolsters that.
Yeah, I understand. I just want to make sure that there's some flexibility. That's all.
Sure. And
I
that's part of the budgeting
understand.
process.
I understand his question to be, to what extent, when the grant application goes in and if it's funded, is it possible to move monies from one category to another depending upon how things unfold? In other words, is the grant granted or accepted or
It's like a line item.
to us?
So my experience has been, go ahead.
Yeah.
My experience has been that the budget that goes in can be modified under extenuating circumstances, but the state really wants the work that you're doing now to come up with a scope of work and the deliverables, really stick to that. And you're well on the way to doing that based on this
Thank you.
discussion.
That helps me understand better. It's not as flexible as I thought, so that's good. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The question that I had, Alan, was the question you answered.
Oh, then we'll sit back down.
So, it's interesting, I didn't think this was enough money to hire a consultant to do this. That's why because each line item, so what you're saying is if the grant is $75,000, and then you have a scope of work and you give them, so with all these, like you put it, like you said, a scope of work which have multidisciplinaries, these are the, deliverables and then for them to make recommendations, that we put all these tasks in, so they would get, we would say, this is how much we have, you put that out as an RFP, and then they come up with the, so it kind of lifts it off of us, because I was thinking that, yeah, so I wasn't thinking multidiscipline, I was thinking each one, that's gonna be very difficult to find, so that's a really good suggestion.
So a forester would be one person in the team of a consulting company.
Or
for
somebody
example.
else who focuses on hydrology or water resources.
So they have to worry about where to get the resource, like where, like they have their own networks.
Oh, yeah, they're qualified.
Yeah.
That's when you review the responses,
Right.
you'll hold them to that
Right.
standard.
And along the same lines, then, what's the mechanism for a subject matter expert or the process for handling task 4, conducting the vulnerability assessment? Would that similarly be contracted?
Yes. And the example is that the towns of Surrey and Castine and Brooklyn and Sedgwick have engaged Elizabeth Hertz. She used to work for the State Planning Office. She's a facilitator for that sort of thing, and her work is starting now. So there are experts.
Yes,
I
Tracy?
have a practical logistical question for you, Rich. There's the potential for a few consultants on board and an intern. A fellow, sorry, I should call that the correct name. What's the capacity of you, who's listed as a project manager, to facilitate those sort of 4 pieces? I'm just curious, because consultants require sort of a point person and a relationship person, and I just wanted to check in before we add too many consultant relationships onto the deck, like how that will be managed, or if there's capacity to do that among the group, or I'm just curious about that part, because consultants aren't, like my experience with consultants, it's not like you just make a call, you hire them, and then it's game over. There's that relationship piece, and so I would would love to hear what capacity looks like to manage sort of that aspect of it.
Yeah, so we have consultants for this town dock project.
Yeah.
And they're subject matter experts in surveying, in construction, so it's not just the one person that I deal with on a weekly basis. There's 4 to 5 people, which all takes time because it's never just one phone call.
Okay.
It's we've got to do this, we got to contact this person at the Fed, this person at the state. So it's it's very time consuming. The good thing is that we're wrapping up the last state project with the walls, so that'll free up a little bit of time, and also no longer overseeing the waterfront will free up some more time as well. But a lot of that time is supposed to be dedicated to the businesses.
Yeah.
So adding all these consultants will actually, when I had the waterfront, it was workable. Now designating for businesses, I don't think that's the direction the town actually wants me to be in any longer.
Can some of that be farmed out to other committee members?
Oh,
Some
then that's
communication.
fine if you want to do it to the committee members, but as for my capacity,
Yeah.
it's gonna be pretty much, it's changed since we've started this program, my capacity.
Yeah.
So. I want,
No, I think this is a great discussion.
yeah, because I
that's my
agree, I
biggest
mean,
concern.
you can't, too many hats, and, some of them are gonna, it's just too much. But I have a question, so Alan, your position, I know that you're for this, but because you can have a consultant managing this, like, obviously, we don't have, as you point out, there's not a lot of resources in the town that can do it, there's only, so many, and we're all kind of stretched. But so what is your capacity and all, this is just for through this project,
Mhm.
And this grant, when does your,
September
So
12th.
yes, you know the date.
I was gonna ask the same thing because we're talking as if, we're submitting the application in in February, but your time is actually done in one more meeting.
But we do get Janet Richards from Hancock County Planning Commission, who might be able to take on.
Yes, Jana has committed to you that she'll work with you as a follow-on. That's, in fact, that is her role, that she was funded to do that. So, yes, I know the challenge of managing multiple consultants. I feel for you, Rich. And I'll just mention a couple of things. In Brooklyn, the neighbor-to-neighbor, the energy coaching thing is done basically by the committee. There's a group of people who really enjoy that. So the select board has nothing to do with that. The town clerk, the town manager, there's nothing that falls on town staff. That's all volunteer. My other process when I've dealt with consultants or consulting firms is to really set up an hourglass. There's an oversight committee of committee members, volunteers, and then there's the consulting team, and one person is the hourglass. Everything goes through that one person, so there are not multiple discussions, multiple dueling documents and things like that. So there's a way of controlling that somewhat that I've had to learn. So there are ways of working it. The other thing that I'll mention, money doesn't solve every problem, but this new grant program that started with this current grant round and will continue in the next grant round is that there's an additional $5,000 available to the committee or to the town for grant management. The state recognizes the burden of paperwork, reporting, and so on and so forth. So that money is available if it facilitates extra work or extra hours by anybody on town staff. And every grant can, and it's included in this one, the state does allow a certain percentage, and I've always put in 5% for grant management. So 5% plus another $5,000. Money doesn't solve everything, but it can pay for extra staff time.
Helen, one further, to change the subject a little bit, on task 3 again. So we get the grant, we decide we need a consultant to start the task 3 process. Do we develop criteria? Are there already criteria out there for these consultants, whoever they may be, to come and address? In other words, is the outline for Brooklyn going to basically be the same outline for Bucksport, in that the data underneath is going to be different for obvious reasons, but will the framework be the same? Is that something we develop, or is that something that comes packaged with a?
Well, for the Island Institute fellow, there's a very good model template that Brooklyn has used. So that, and Doug Hyland would be happy to talk. He's the chair of that committee.
Okay.
In terms of task 3, when you're talking about the natural resource, you who are on the conservation committee know the ideas. You would basically set up a scope of work, what you need, and then that goes into the RFP.
Okay, thank you.
And
Would we be doing the RFPs for all of these separate so that would also be something to consider in project management. That would be three RFPs to put together, right?
Well, you could find one company potentially that does all 3, like the one for the town dock. They're all from the same company. They're all from the same consultant firm. So it sounds like something like this, you might be able to find one consulting firm that has 3 subject matters, and you just pay X towards this person, this, X towards that, and X towards that. One company, one bill, 3 line items
But you still have to develop a scope of work
for each one of them.
for the consultant, so that you, like, in other words, the firm, so, I mean, but we're not, I never rewrite, like you said, Brooklyn and others, you get them, and then, to your point, Chris, we would read it, and we would modify, make what's applicable to us, what we need to add or take away, and just develop our scope of work for whatever the needs are, so.
And there's now a good body of scopes of work, RFPs that you can use from other towns.
Beautiful. That helps. One other thing, though, it just occurred to me, if, I'm not trying to give you a hard time here, Alan.
I appreciate every question.
Thank you. The $5,000 RFP limit, do we have to do that? Do we have to go out to bid?
The $5,000 is
It's a
just
municipal.
given by the state. You don't have,
No, but if we're gonna hire somebody and it's gonna be more than 5,000, I think we have to do an
Yeah.
RFP.
Yes,
Right.
yeah, we have to put it out to, RFQ, right?
Or for
Well,
each one
well,
of these.
an
request for
RFQ is-
qualifications or request for proposals. The town of Surrey just went right to town RFP for proposals.
Yeah,
So-
that's, I just wanna make sure, cause I think the number's $5,000, anything
Right, there's a
over that.
threshold,
Thank you.
and the state will certainly want to see that it's done competitively.
Rich is great at developing those at it.
I
on his
just did
free
one,
time.
well, actually I did a bid today.
So, because you can ask for qualifications within your request for proposal, I mean, it's all kind of.
Thank you.
They do.
So I would bring the committee's attention to the fact that we're running out of time. We're at the part of the agenda to identify the next steps of what questions, tasks, next meeting time. Where do we want to go from here? It seems to me, first off, that a variety of comments have been made, a variety of clarifications have been made, and Alan recognizes that it's probably time for another draft of the grant application. Is there further guidance that the committee wants to give to Alan in the process of doing that at this time? Yes,
Can I make a
Alan?
process suggestion? I think, yes, new draft is necessary for the reasons you've mentioned, and this is really helpful information we're getting. I imagine there may be some comments, further comments after next Thursday's meeting from you and your colleagues, so we'll wait for that and then integrate all of that in a new draft that is labeled with a new date and is clearly a new differentiated document. And we'll include, does black lining help? Do you like it that way? So you can see, and then we can also create a clean version from that so it doesn't totally look horrible, but we'll do that. And we can do that, I think by the middle of, we can certainly do that early in September, so you have that before our contract ends. Does that work?
That's great. Yeah, it's great.
So.
Debbie and I are really, early in September will be better than the end of August because we have some grants that we've got to get in at the end of August. But certainly, we're happy to work in early September so that we have we have a perfected document for you to review and further work on.
Let me ask a timing question, Alan, which is that if after the next draft, there are some additional changes that we'd like to make, if we have a meeting in early September, for example, you need time to be able to make those changes before your contract runs out. So do you have in mind kind of a deadline of when you need to have, when you would have to start on the last draft that you could be involved with?
So I'm thinking the first full week, Labor Day is as early as it possibly can be on the 1st of September, right? So the first work day of September is Tuesday the 2nd. So is your question, do you want to have a meeting with Debbie and me that week? So that then we can take your final comments and get something to you by the 12th. Is that your,
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Debbie? I think we can meet, yes, let's meet with you the first week of September, whatever night that works for you.
Labor Day.
Labor Day is Monday the 2nd, the
Monday.
1st. It's the 1st, is it Monday the 1st?
Yeah.
If we were to meet on a Wednesday again, it would be the 3rd of September.
Today that is free, but I have to
We'll
hold
block-
it today.
we'll block it out quickly.
Well, 3rd of September is that what you just said? Which is a
Yes.
Wednesday. Is somebody gonna be here? Will it be, remember the new rule is you have to have somebody here. You'll be here.
Are you?
Thank you.
I'll check my calendar, but I should be here.
You'll be here. We've got two representatives.
I'll make myself available
Well,
to
she
the
already
third.
said she's free.
No, this will have to lock you in. You can't do anything.
Yeah, no, I don't have access to the kingdom, sorry.
Is
Nor
the
do I
time
want
of from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock still agreeable with?
It's the best time for me,
Same.
cause I.
September 3, is that what
So
we're doing?
September 3rd from 6 PM to 7 PM?
So we would like your comments then, by, a week after council meeting? So that we can get something ready for you on the 3rd and have it ready for you to get, so you have it before the meeting. And then we'll take further comments then, prepare a final version, so you'll have it by the 12th.
So you want comments by August 21st?
That'd be, yes, that's 1 week after your council meeting, right? Does that all work for you? Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for your
Could
flexibility.
I just make one other request of Alan and Debbie?
Yes.
Prior to, when we get the last bit of information, could we have one final page that maybe has the contacts that we should be getting in contact for each of the tasks if we need to reach out to Brooklyn or to
Oh, sure.
Surrey or anything like that?
Good idea.
Yeah, that's, in fact, yes, we can even include that in the proposal. And that will make a very compelling application when people see you've done that work.
Now, does the committee want to meet earlier, prior to September 3rd? Or how do you want to handle providing additional comments to Alan and Debbie after next week's council meeting?
I personally like Google, the
Drive.
Google Drive.
Email or?
Yeah, well, Google Drive, because if you're sending emails with different drafts, it gets confusing, but when you go onto Google Drive, I can see your comments, and we can all share it. So, and then we can share, do you,
I appreciate that suggestion. Google Docs works very well
yeah.
for this sort of collaborative work. And then Debbie and I can see who commented on what, and the comments are very helpful.
So
Does
everybody,
that work for everybody else?
I love it, thank you.
Yeah.
Rich and I have used it in the past, I know you've used it too, it just makes it so much easier.
Yeah.
And everyone should have access, and I think everybody's an editor, so anybody could stop that.
Yeah, because I've been putting stuff up in that folder
Thank
that
you.
you provided, and now I notice you have done a lot of things. Any kind of things that Ralph sends out, I take and fire it up into the Drive folder so that it's all organized up there, and anybody who has access to that folder can go in there and see everything that we've assembled, and Rich puts stuff up in there too.
So we already have a drive for that.
We do.
Yeah.
Yep, and you should be on there.
Yeah.
I just
well,
can't remember which account. I think I did your personal and not, I think I did your personal account.
That's fine.
I'll double check.
Yeah.
You use Drive?
I, for the, yeah, I like
Okay,
it.
yeah.
We use it at work, similar.
We use it for the other committee. So
You'll
I'm always
include
in
Debbie
it.
and me?
You should be in that drive. You should have been the first two in it.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, I didn't realize I was in it. I mean, I've
Thank
used
you.
it, but not specifically for this meeting.
Perfect.
Well, we try to put as much, I have, and I know Rich has beat me to a couple of things,
Yeah.
anything that comes, we fire it up in there.
Oh, it's
It just, and just
efficient.
let it sit, if you never look at it, that's okay too, but there it is.
And it'll be.
I'm
yeah,
sorry, go
I'm
ahead.
sorry, I cut you off.
No, I cut you off.
Well, it'll be good too as we're developing scope of work and all
Yeah,
of that. It'll
exactly.
be really good. So when we get some of those resources, we can put that in the drive from Brooklyn and everything. We
Yeah.
can all be reviewing it. And because it takes a lot of time to read through these things, and then also we could do it on our own pace and then make our comments.
So, is there any further comment that anyone needs to make before we go to our meeting evaluation and adjournment?
Just in regards to contact information, do we have, like, is it an email or a website that will be submitting this actual application when you're not here?
So the application is submitted via email to Ashley Krulik, and, yes.
Okay.
I'll give you that information. And Jana will have it as well.
And Jenna let me know that she was not available for tonight's meeting. So I hope that she's available for our future meetings, but I forgot to announce that at the beginning that she did contact me. Meeting evaluation, any comments on how this meeting ran? Things that worked well, things that could be improved?
Thought it went well.
Yeah,
It
well,
helped me clear up some stuff. And a special thanks to you folks for all your efforts too. I wanna make sure you understand, I really do appreciate it. And I feel bad about a 5 or 7 page notes, but I do appreciate them. They really are helpful. And I think they're important for the future, to look back, so.
yes, please, thank you.
And thank you, Ralph, for all the stuff you keep sending out. I do appreciate it.
Other meeting evaluative comments?
I mean, I appreciate the email ahead of time, so we can really, we could really dig into the big capacity concerns that I had, and I just really appreciated that preparation to facilitate and efficient is my weekly word, my word of the week, efficient, time specific, so I feel like you're running a very efficient meeting, Ralph, and I'm grateful for that.
Okay, any further comments?
Not that I can think of.
Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Exactly at 7:00.